January Journal 2021. Log entry day 11. Gratitude. Before I can say the things I'm thankful for, future Dal remembered today was a bad day, or last night. I'm not okay, I'm not in a good mental state, and I thought today was going to be the day when I was going to fail, and my whole construction of a habit was going to dissolve in front of me, no matter how hard I tried for 10 days in a row. I thought today was going to be the day, but here I am. Might have taken me a little bit later, and I might be struggling with the noises of the day, but I'm here, and I'm doing this. Last night I had a jump scare that sent me into a spiral of anxiety, and I fell asleep, but then I woke up again at 3 a.m. in the morning. I couldn't go back to sleep at the normal time, and then I was sleeping too early in the morning. I almost didn't wake up for this. It was horrendous, but here is where I'm thankful. I have a friend whom I can message, and she will hear it eventually, and I'm glad I have that friend whom I can message and say, hey, I'm not okay. This and that happened, and I'm not fine, and I hate that I cannot sleep. But then, that's why I remembered my friend. My friend is a great role model, very organized, maybe one of the most organized people that I've known, and I'm very happy that she's my friend. So, at least I have one friend that is not, my parents. I have one friend who is there, whom I can message. I'm thankful for that. I will be okay. I'm doing this. I'm thankful for that. I gathered some strength and I'm doing this. I saved the chocolate for this morning because I knew I was gonna need it. So I'm glad I had a chocolate. I had something sweet to start the day with. Healthy, not healthy, I don't care at the moment. I needed something nice to start the day with, and I had it because I saved it for later, for a moment like this. And I'm glad that I can find a coping strategy, just like a small bite of something sweet. It's part of the depression. We want sugar. We need it. Whatever. I'm here, and I'm thankful. Yesterday, before all the jump scare stuff, someone noted something that I still have to correct. They called me out on it, and they said, hey, nobody knows everything about the craft. And that sent me a message like, hey, you shouldn't be so hard on yourself because no one knows everything they need to know about the craft. That's bullshit. It is bullshit. Like, nobody knows everything. Why should I? That showed me that sometimes I say things that denote how internalized I have this sense of perfectionism, and I have to be the ideal, most productive, smartest, best at everything. I have it so internalized that it comes out of my mouth sometimes and I don't even notice it until someone points it out, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much for that, because it's really something I have to work on. It's not just building a habit because I have to build a habit because it's a thing that I have to do. No. I have to correct myself and improve myself as a person too. And this internalized perfectionism and the assumption that everyone around me is way out there and I am the one who's always lagging behind because, I don't know, because blindness, or because like I said, I didn't go to college and all those stuff I said. Well, no, it's not true. And to prove it to myself, I also saw a memory from a year ago, those memory posts that social media sometimes shares. And it was about me trying to query agents exactly a year ago. And I found an agent that says she was representing sci-fi, but she didn't want anything in space. And I was like, oh, maybe she just wants dystopian or Earth-based near future. Who knows what she wants, but she doesn't want anything in space. And that would have been an automatic rejection. And so I was telling myself for the future to look at it and notice that, hey, I do the best I can when I'm researching agents. And I shouldn't be so hard on myself because I always do my best with the knowledge I have at the time. The fact that I know more a year later only proves that I have been working on my progress. And it shows. And I'm doing much better now when it comes to who to query and how to find information and more details about agents and what they want to see in their submission box. And according to some people, that will always keep me a step ahead of a lot of other writers who don't do their homework. So I am thankful for my patience and my persistence, because this book means a lot to me, and a year later I have not given up on it. I'm thankful. I will keep working on this. Now, today's topic: how to make the first chapter work. When I have been editing my book, and I have been editing for quite a while now, my focus was always on the beginning of the novel, because the first chapter is a situation that I usually don't see in books. I don't really see it, so I don't have a reference point. If you know of a story that starts in a similar way, I already got a recommendation, but like if somebody else knows of another story that starts this way, you can let me know. So the first chapter is this person, Tibor. He's been assigned the task of testing new recruits from Earth. So the command was to give each of them the worst nightmare they ever had. I didn't start with that command in the first draft or the second or the third because I thought I had to hook the reader and start with a bang and start in the middle of the action, you know, the popular advice that's running around. There is some other advice that says start like 5 minutes before the party starts. I should go more with that one in the future, especially for this kind of situation. Why? I was missing clarity, trying to be a trickster. I don't like spelling out everything that's happening like little by little, like this is happening and now this is happening. I don't like that. I get bored easily if I can predict the whole novel in just a few pages. Sometimes it happens because people water down everything these days. I don't know. But anyway, I didn't want to go that route, and I never wanted to go that, easy peasy style. So I was going the other extreme, but too extreme, and I was confusing. Problem I have, and I know other people have it, I don't know to what extent, but I have it quite problematic. I know my characters and the plot and the world and the mechanics of what I'm doing. I know them so well that I cannot see the chapter from a first perspective, like a fresh eyes perspective. I can't. It's just not there. It's a problem, and I need to correct it because I always fear that if I spell everything out, I'm watering down the whole thing. And then the first chapter is just like any other chapter and it's not interesting anymore, and I just wanted to start in a different way. But the problem is, a lot of new readers don't understand the concept of lucid dreaming or lucid nightmares, or like that you can control your dreams and it could be tested for, mental strength, mental training. People don't know these things. You cannot start in the middle of the nightmare without revealing anything. No, it's just not. It's not working. It doesn't work. You're not a bad writer. That execution doesn't work. I'm telling this to myself after a lot of conversations. And another thing I'm thankful for is my mother's reminder of I should be patient and work on my thing. Just keep at it. Work on your thing. No one is rushing you to publish. Thank you, Mom. Yes. So after a lot of introspection and conversation and feedback and a lot of things like that, I had to start the thing 5 minutes before the nightmares begin. So the kid, whom I'm not revealing to be a kid yet, because I was afraid of starting revealing it's a child and I don't want to spell it out. So what did I do now? I might even put it on the screen, the first page. Yeah, why not? Put it on the screen. So I'm starting with this person trying to calm himself after a disaster of a first practice session. He had even a practice session before the actual task began. That was on purpose too. And the thing is that I know that there was a lot of miscommunication. So the main character, got this command of be the worst nightmare everybody ever had, You have to be the worst. You have to give them nightmares, like scare the crap out of them. That's the first test. So that was the command. That was his script. And I heard this in an audiobook by Saul Stein. I will talk about, save that for later. But yeah, give different characters a different script. And I am glad I'm doing that now. So the guy who was the practice guinea pig didn't have any idea of what he was about to experience. So the guinea pig guy had no clue that he was going to be tested in nightmares and stuff because he's from another branch and he doesn't know what they do in this one with the new recruits. So he was completely lost. Obviously, when the practice session ends, the guinea pig guy is completely disturbed. And this also disturbs the main character because it triggers some memories of why is he so isolated. And that comes with the theme of my novel, where I write that he remembers when he had his own first testings and they were passing next to a playground and there were some other children playing and jumping around a holographic spider web that changed colors, and they were singing nursery rhymes in Russian because Russia. And so that's why that little line, that's why it's there, is not to toot the horn that I can write Cyrillics. Don't do that. It's a characterization of where he might be at the moment, and the fact that he's singing alone denotes that he can speak this language, despite me not saying the name yet. I'll save that for later. So this persisting memory of the one time he saw other kids of his age and he wanted to go to play and he couldn't because he was in a test. He was in astral state and no one could see him and no one should see him. And this is where I characterize his father a little bit. It's like, no, you should keep walking. And he's like, but after the test, they cannot see us and they should not see us. Keep moving. His father is very career-oriented, so to speak. You just have to keep working. It's that kind of mentality. And I know someone in real life who was that kind of father. Like, has a child and the child wants to be of his age. And the father is like, you just have to keep on working. It's that kind of mentality. I took it in. And that's the main character's father here. So they say that you shouldn't use flashbacks unless it's absolutely necessary, but this is a persisting memory that he has to suppress because now there are other children of his own age outside waiting to be tested in something actually horrible, and he has to be the perpetrator of this horrible thing. And so it means that he doesn't have the right to have friends. And he has to suppress that idea because, you know, his isolated self, his child self, who just wants to be a kid, versus the good boy that Papa wants him to be. From the beginning, I'm establishing now that I know what I'm doing better, I'm establishing the conflict of his character. And the theme of the spider web is, you know, the weaving spider and moth and, you know, the little line in Cyrillic. All of that before we begin with the nightmares, whatever. So I am showing his vulnerabilities. Even if I'm not showing that he's a kid, it's alright, I will show it later. Smart readers will pick it up. So then when the actual tests begin, I'm no longer showing it on screen, but you know, now that the actual test, you know, no more practice, no more nothing, the actual thing begins, he knows he has to be horrible. That's his script. But these kids are new and they don't even know what the test is going to be. Again, a lot of miscommunication, and that's on purpose. It's all part of a long-term goal for his son. It's part of a plan. I'm not spelling that out. I should execute this in a way that someone with a little bit of brain can figure it out. It's not that complicated. And then I do the testings. So, the other problem I had with this chapter is that I was focusing on everyone. I was trying to keep the main character a mystery to the reader, and I was focusing on the kids outside more. That's a mistake because then, again, with this idea that he's the villain, that was wrong. Because then the reader thinks that the protagonists are all these kids. How many POVs are gonna have in this book? Oh my god, it's too much. And that's why I had the feeling of too many characters. Not everybody gave me that feedback, but some people who prefer some easier, younger reads, they gave me that feedback. And I had to take it into consideration as well. And so the problem is that there were too many people. And I needed to have too many people because it's a bunch of kids outside. It's a classroom situation. And how do you do a classroom situation if he's only testing 2 kids? It's not realistic. And I was going for that feeling of alone in a crowd. The thing is, again, the execution wasn't working. That was the biggest problem, is that I was not executing this correctly. So I focused on 3 or 4, 5 maximum, and it's now clear that the instructor is the main character, which already makes things a lot easier on the reader because it's like one after another. So they focus on how the main character feels about this constant testing of different children and the different reactions that the kids are going to have. I was also working on that because before this final draft I have now, the kids were pretty much the same. You know, they all had the same good kid reaction that they are just obeying and going on with the test. No, not anymore. Every child is different, and you know, the more they run away from the room scared after the nightmare, the more they are going to try new things to figure out who is this evil instructor. So the more the thing goes on, the worse the next kid becomes. It's like, it's just a nightmare for the instructor himself, which makes the chapter more interesting now. And then a horrible thing happens. It's not the final in the queue, but the final one that he gets to test. He does something really horrible. Everyone can hear it outside. It's disgusting. It's a nightmare, but you know, it's horrible what's happening to this kid. And then comes the real intervention. His aunt, Salome, who just arrived, and I had to find a way to describe something that denotes that this woman has just arrived into the space station and it's mayhem, and she has to stop it because no one else will. Poor Salome, I feel bad for her. I'm sorry. And there comes my new trick, but I'm not gonna say it because it's spoilers, but it's the first chapter. If you want to read it, you can tell me. But the thing is, I am focusing on the people that I should focus on. You know, the main character. The kids are not that important except to characterize himself. They have personalities now more than ever, but they should characterize him instead of me going the other direction and focusing just on the kids and keeping him a complete mystery. That doesn't work. Don't try to be mysterious. Not in that way, because remember that people are going to get invested in the main character. It's the main character for a reason. So I was just in need of better examples of more complex first chapters, because I was just finding books that were maybe not interesting for me and I needed something else, and I'm glad I have found it now. It's better. I have better examples and I can execute my own thing better. I'm not as well read as I want to be because I didn't have access to many books. Now I have a little bit more of access and I am using it to the best of my ability, and it's helping me execute my first chapter better. Focus should always be, no matter what, on your main character. You can still have some mystery, you can still have some things not spelled out on the page like this is a 10-year-old child. No, but you can figure a way to subtly bring things to the reader's attention. And I'm glad I had the capability of figuring that out. I thought I was not going to be able to do it, and I just couldn't make my chapter work. Every story can work if you find a way to execute it better than you had before. It's not your fault. Just be patient. And I'm glad I could take all that advice and read all the craft books and talk to the right people and remember to be patient and just keep working and keep on learning. And that's what has me more confident on my opening pages. So next time I query, I hope it is of the interest of the agents. I have progressed, and I will continue to do so. With the rest of the book, I should talk about that tomorrow. As always, thank you so much for listening, and